All right. Welcome everyone to week 2. I'm glad to see there are more people here on week 2 than on week 1. That's exciting. So today we're going to talk about, well, first of all, are there any questions on the previous week? Anything that confused you, anything you want to know, anything that you came up with questions about, anything at all for the rest of it? It was a pretty easy week. It was just installing MySQL and doing a couple of fun things with it. Hello, Michael.
Hi.
Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about what we're going to do this week. So this week, we talk about the mechanics of SQL, and I will talk about that as we're doing the going through the queries. We're talking about select query clauses. So we're going to be talking about what they refer to as DML, which is data manipulation language, DML. The other big one that you're going to talk about at some point in time is DDL, which is data definition language. DDL commands are create, modify, and drop. Create, modify, and drop. Those create objects. They create tables, they create views, sort of procedures. Modify obviously changes it, and drops gets rid of it. So data definition language is anything that defines the data, meaning tables, columns, indexes, everything that's DDL. We'll talk about more of those week 5, 6, 7, or 6, 7, 8. DML is data manipulation language. Manipulation language is anything we use to make data look. So I think I started saying this last week. In a relational database, we've got a bunch of tables, and the information is stored in those tables in a way that the average person can't understand. So we need to provide them that information out in a way that people will understand it. And that's where the manipulation language comes in. So we're going to give them the information that they seek in a way they can understand it and make everyone's life easier. Okay, so the clauses, the base clauses we're going to talk about here, I'm going to talk about some more of them as we're going through the queries. Select, from, where, group, and order. Okay. It's funny that we use group by here because group by is required when you're doing aggregate functions. And we don't talk about aggregate functions until week 7. We're going to talk about them tonight because group by is there, but we're going to talk about what they are here in a second. This and those, for those of you watching at home and those here, tonight is going to be a hard code night. We're going to talk a lot about code, how the code works, how the engine behind it works, how to write queries. That's the meat of today. We're going to talk a little bit about the assignment, the reverse engineering assignment, remind you about that. And I'll do a quick reminder about the final exam, the final project versus the final exam. So there's that. Okay, so let me go straight to the queries here. So I think I mentioned this last week, but the great thing about Transact SQL, T-SQL, is that it's English. It's very simple. Select from where. Select is what I want. Where's where you find it, select from where is the filter, like where it is. Like I can tell my son, select the glass plates from the counter where they're green, you know, and he would look at me funny because I was talking to him in a weird way, but he would know what to go and get. So that's when you're querying a database, that's all it is. Select from where. So select tells you what you want, from tells you where it is, where tells you how to filter it, and order by tells you how to sort it. That make sense? Okay. So the first query we have is something very, very simple. It's select first name, last name from customer. So if I go over here into my tables, here's all my tables, actor, address, category, city. And if I click down here, customer, and I click down here, columns, I see all the stuff that sits there, okay? I'm going to show you a little trick that'll make your query writing easy. It's all drag and drop. This is why I suggest not to use the CLI, because you can't do that in CLI. Here's something else you don't know. And I usually, last semester, I brought this up on week 12. I'm going to show you guys this now. If you right click the database and you go to send to SQL editor, You can write a select all statement. You can write an insert statement, an update statement, a create statement. Look at all the stuff you can write. This will come in very handy if you're going to do the final projects. But we'll talk more about these later. So the workbench is very user friendly. It does a lot of fun things for you. You can also drag the name of tables over. Okay. So I digress. So I'm going to run this query. Now, if I highlight the query and I hit the little lightning bolt here, it just runs what's selected. If I didn't run that, it would run everything. So if I just highlight and run, it runs what's selected. And here's my result. Smith Mary, Johnson Patricia, Williams Linda. Here's all the first and last names of all the customers. And there are 599 rows returned. I don't know why I have this here twice. Now, I have this word concat here. This is basically the same query. This is nice. It gives people the first name and last name, but it's two separate things. It's not very sortable. It's not really nice looking. So I've got this version here. I've got select. I've got this word concat here. Concat is short for concatenation. What concat does, it combines text columns into one column. So let me run you and show this. So here I've got select concat last name, comma, single quote, comma, single quote, comma, first name, and then as customer. So let me run this and show you what I'm talking about. I'm going to run both of these here. Okay. Okay. So let's look at this one first again. Okay. I've got a column called last name. I've got a column called first name. I've got a column called last name, column called first name from the table customer. And here's my results in two separate columns. On this one, I've got a column called customer. I've got it sorted alphabetically, and I've got it in one column. So what I did was I used the concat command, which has combined any text fields within the parentheses. I'm combining last name and first name. I'm throwing a comma between the two and a space. And here, this as command, I'm calling it customer. If I didn't do this, if I ran this without this being there, the column header would look like this. And remember, our goal with our select queries is to make things enjoyable for the customer to look at. They're not going to know what this means. It's going to confuse them. If we put as customer there, then that makes sense to them. Also keep in mind, when I say customer, I'm talking about the people who are looking at the data. When you're a DBA, you're writing queries in the database to hand over to developers to use on their front-end databases, their front-end applications. Okay, so you want it to make sense to them as well, so they don't have to do a lot of data massaging after the fact. This is the same thing, except I just add another column, select store ID, concat last name, first name, as customer, from customer, order by last name. All I'm doing is adding the store ID here now. Okay. Select store ID, concat last name, first name, as customer. Let's not forget that. From customer, order by store ID and last name. So when I do an order by, I can do, so it's going to say order this by this first, and then order by this. And if I do this, it does it backwards. So if I run this, there's an error. What's my error? Select store ID from customer from customer. Why do you have a problem? Why do you have a problem? Oh. Okay. I deleted the last name by accident, so it wasn't a complete phrase. Okay, here we go. So now I'm running by store ID and I'm doing the names backwards. So I did everything in reverse. Okay. Everyone following this?
Yeah.
Pretty simple stuff, right? So let me take a second now and talk to you how the engine runs this behind the scenes. So when I talk about the engine, so MySQL, Oracle, Postgres, MariaDB, Microsoft SQL Server, they're not applications. They're referred to as platforms, okay? Because an application is something an end user consumes and does things with, like Word and Pokemon Go and things like those are applications, okay? A platform is something that an application uses to do its job. An average user is not going to log into SQL Server to run database queries. That's just not the way it's going to work, okay? So with a platform comes something called an engine, and that's what runs behind the scenes because the platform is always on. Okay, if you ever look into services on your Windows box or whatever, you'll see that the database engine is always running. It's always consuming resources. It's always consuming CPU. It's always consuming RAM. That's because it's always running. It's like running your car on idle until you drive, right? And then running a query drives. So when you run a query, this gets sent back to the engine and it dissects it and it sends to the hard drive to get the data. Because all data is housed on the hard drive. If you are trying to manipulate data, you cannot manipulate data when it exists on the hard drive. It has to exist in memory. If I lose anybody, please stop me. This is kind of a deep dive kind of thing, okay? So data, if it's being manipulated, cannot exist on the hard drive. It must be held in active memory or it can't be changed, okay? Because once you write to the hard drive, that's it. There's no writing again. You can't, it's not like an Etch-a-Sketch. It's a one-time deal, right? So every change to modification, everything has to happen in active memory or RAM, okay? So you have three commands here. You've got a select command, you got a from command, and an order by command, okay? I'm gonna throw a where command in here too, because I wanna get that in here. So where, last name. I'll explain what this means in a second. Okay, so I've got a select, I've got a from, I've got a where, and I got an order by. The first thing that runs is the where, the from commands. This is the first thing the engine does. And what it does, it literally goes to the hard drive and gets all the data from that table and puts it into active RAM. Okay. So this is why and we're going to talk about resource issues later on. We've got to make sure that we've got enough RAM on our computers to do this stuff, because if this table is, I don't know, 500 gigabytes, which I've seen tables that big, and you don't have 500 gigabytes on your computer of RAM, you can't work this table. Make sense? Okay. So the first thing the engine does, it pulls all the data back into RAM. The next thing it does is this. It finds what last name of is like. So what this says is where last name is like W %. So %, is a wild card. So basically this just pulls back any last name that begins with W. Okay. So this runs first, and then this deletes everything that's not that. And then this happens. So 1, 2, 3, and then 4. Then order by runs. And that's the order that it runs on the engine. Pulls everything back, weeds it out with the where clause, weeds it out with the select clause, orders it, and sends it out to the screen. Okay. So let me run this query real quick. So we got store customer, and then we got that, and then just anything that ends with W is what we're going to get at this point. Okay. When we're sorting, we can also do this. Anyone want to take a guess what we're ordering by and how? This is referred to as cardinal functionality.
Store ID.
Is first or second? in the order by clause?
Second.
Yes, that is correct. So who said that?
Eston.
Eston, good job. Exactly. So when we do cardinal functionality, this is column 1, this is column 2. So here I'm sorting by customer first and then store ID. And we can see the difference already.
Yeah.
Okay. So I don't like doing it this way because it confuses people. When you're writing code, the important thing to remember is there are going to be people that come after you that need to understand what you wrote. And the more universal you can make it, the more people are going to like you. Okay. So try to make sure, like, not to do it this way, but do it this way. Okay. Also, you never know, someone might come along here and like add another column here, you know, suddenly they want email address. And suddenly the sort is wrong because now this is column 2 and this is column 1, right? And we don't want that. We want to be ordered by last name. Okay. Blah, blah, blah. Here we go. Same thing. Ordered by 1 and 2. Okay, here. So now, this is what we refer to as, everyone good? Any questions so far? Okay. This is what we refer to as an aggregate. So we've already talked about concatenation. Concatenation is when you take text fields and combine them into one. Okay. Aggregation is when you do that same thing, but mathematically with any numeric fields. Your aggregate functions are count, sum, average, minimum, maximum. We'll get more into them later. But the thing about aggregate functions, okay, the thing about aggregate functions is whenever you have an aggregate function, you have to have a group by clause. So let me show you what this does. First, let me run it without this. So I'm just going to do select rating from film. Okay, so this gives me all the ratings. There you go. It doesn't tell me a whole lot of anything. I don't know what's going on. It just gives me all the ratings. If I add this to it, uh-oh. There we go. If I add this to it, what it's going to do is going to give me all the ratings and then tell me how many of that rating shows up in the table. So it's going to look like this. It's aggregating the number of Gs, the number of PGs, the number of PG-13s, the number of Rs, the number of MC-17s. This is the command that tells it to aggregate. If I take this out, so remember what this looks like, right? If I take this out, so double dash is commenting. Double dash is commenting. That's not really the same thing, is it? Because it's not being told to aggregate. Basically, what it's doing is getting the first rating that shows up. If we were looking at column, we looked at row 1, it would be PG, and then gives me the count of the entire table, which is 1,000 rows. If I don't have this aggregate here, it will not work right. Okay. Whenever you're using an aggregate, the group by command must have every column not included in the aggregate. Here's another one. Here's average. Select rating and the average length from film. Grouping by rating. So here, our G movies are average length of 111 minutes. Our average PG is 112 minutes, 120, 118, 113. So this is giving us the average length of a G-rated movie. Okay, I can put sum here. And this is going to be the total length of all the G movies. So here we do this. And now that becomes a much bigger number. If we watch all the G movies we had, it's 19,767 minutes. These are nonsensical queries. These are just to show you how these work. Okay. So here is a little more of a complicated one. We're using something called an inner join. But I just wanted to show you here about, this is going to be, so if we look at this, select L.name, F.rating, count F.rating from film F. So what I'm doing here is, since I'm using multiple tables to get information from, right? I need to identify what table the column is coming from. So here I have film as film F and language L. Basically what I'm saying is, instead of having to type film out every time, whenever you see the letter F, I'm talking about the film table. Whenever you see the letter L, I'm talking about the language table. It can be whatever you want. It doesn't have to be F and L. I just did that because it's the first letters of the table. So here I'm saying get name from the language table, rating from the film table, and then give me the count of the ratings from the film table. Get from film and language, join them on this column, which means you're going to take these two columns and compare them on that column, language ID. Okay. And then we're going to group by anything that's not in the aggregate, which is name and rating. And then we're going to order by rating first, then the language name. And then give me, and then the count, we're going to order by the counts. Okay. So what this query will do, it'll give me the language the movie is in, the rating of the movie, and how many movies of that rating and then that are in that language. So in English, in G, I've got 112 movies. In Italian and G, I've got 39 movies. In Japanese, I've got 27 movies. Okay. I know this is kind of advanced. It's more than you guys should be doing that right now, but do you kind of get an idea of what we're looking at here and how this works? In 3 weeks, we're going to spend 3 weeks. So weeks 4, 5, and 6 are all about joins. And that's what these are. But do y'all just kind of get the general idea how this works now? Just really rough, right? Okay. So here's another one using aggregate, max, and min. Here's a group by, run that. So for PG movies, my maximum replacement cost is $29. My minimum replacement cost is $9. It's the same across the board. Okay, so that's just some aggregates here. The other one I'm talking about here is the like function. So here I've got select title description from film, where description is like parentheses percent docu percent and description like percent cow percent. Okay, so what this where clause is going to do, it's going to find where the description has this and the description has this, because the and command. Okay, so in order for this to qualify, it has to have both of them. So if I run this, I get, oh, who's chatting here? Oh, that's fine. It's out of the way here. I had 8 rows returned. Okay. And these ones, in fact, documentary mad cow. So if I change this to or, I should get more. Yeah, so now I got 167 rows back. Because now if it meets docu or it has cow in it, it counts. Okay. So that's how the where clauses work. There's more, we're going to get deeper into how where clauses work and the syntax of them later. But this is kind of what we're looking at now. Just percent is the wild card. So wherever you put it at the beginning or end. So this is just where DOCU exists somewhere within here. If I did it this way, it would only give me where DOCU is the first thing. And if I did this way, it would only give me cow, where cow is the last thing in the text string. Everyone good? I will put all this code in the announcement where the video is, so you guys can play with it. That's pretty much where this is the code that this is all you need to learn this week. So let's take a second here and kind of look at the exercises for this week and talk about them. Okay. So question number 1, write a SQL statement that retrieves actor ID, first name, and last name for all the actors, sort result by last name and then by first name. Does everyone feel comfortable if they think they could write that now?
Yes.
Okay. You want to give it a shot? So let me bring this over here. Copy that. Bring it over to my thing. Okay. So what's my first statement going to be?
It'd be select from. Oh, no, sorry. Yeah. Select first name.
Okay.
Last name. From the last name.
Okay.
From.
Oh, I was wrong.
What does it say? Actors.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. I didn't see the actor ID on there.
Okay.
So it'd be select actor ID, first name, last name. Sorry. I'm doing
That's
this
fine.
off a cell phone.
That's totally fine.
I'm in Hawaii right now. I'm on a cell phone.
What? Who's in Hawaii on a cell phone?
That's Morgan.
Morgan, why are you in Hawaii on a cell phone, dude? If I were in Hawaii, I wouldn't be on a cell phone.
I'm out and about with my my buddy here in Hawaii, and I'm trying to just be on the Zoom call.
Well, I appreciate it. That's awesome. Well, I'm having a good time in Hawaii. So what's my where clause going to be? Oh, it's not where, it's order. It's going to be order by.
Yeah, order by. Last name.
Uh-huh.
And then
I'll give
would
it
it
to
be
you.
a second? Would
It's
you do a
first name.
second order by? Oh, last name, and then you just put first name. Yeah.
Uh-huh. And that's the answer number one.
And then a colon.
Yep. You'll notice I don't really use the. I try not to remember. As long as I'm highlighting it and running on its own, the colons are necessary if you're trying to run multiple queries. Because if I take it out, it's going to freak out. But since I just run them one at a time, it's just the one. That's it. There's answer number one.
Yeah.
It'll stay recorded here. So, and who watches the video will have the answer number one. Write a statement that retrieves the actor ID, first name and last name for all actors whose last name equals Williams or Davis. Write a query against the rental table that returns the IDs of the customers who rented a film on July 5th, 2005. Use the rental date column, and you can use the date function to ignore the time component. Include a single row for each distinct customer ID, and then fill in the blanks. Okay, so that's your 4 questions exercises today, this week.
I didn't understand. Can I ask a question?
Sure.
On the third one,
Mhm.
I didn't understand. I mean, I would have never come up. How it says, it gives the hint, use the rental _date.
Mhm.
What does that mean? Because that looks like something that would be in a join to me, but like, how do I know?
So good point. So here's the thing. So whenever they're talking about the tables, they're going to say, look at rental date, because they want you to know what table to look at. So here, I'm going to go into the rental table, and here we have rental date. Okay. So that when you see rental date, whenever in the exercise, they're just telling you what to look at. Because if they said, look at the rental date column, you're like, where's that? But let me show you what else they're talking about here.
Okay.
And they said use the date function. So if I do this, select that from rental, and I do this, that's what I get.
Yeah.
Okay. What the date function does,
It takes it off.
takes the time off.
Okay, that makes more sense.
Mhm. And obviously on the converse, there is the time function where it removes the date. Okay. Because if you try to do a where clause off a rental date without taking the date off, it would get confused because we look at the time going, what time are you talking about? Because there's so much here. Okay.
Then I had a question on the fourth one.
Sure.
When I did it, and I could swear that I put it in correctly, and I ran it,
Mhm.
and it comes up different. It like has all the same information, and I think the same number of rows,
Mhm.
but mine started with Terrence.g something, Terrence.r, and I think
So
the
here's
answer,
these two here, Terrence Rouse.
Yeah.
And okay. So let's take a look at this. That's Magic the Gathering. There we go. Okay, here. Let's bring this over here. And let me clean this up a little bit. Okay, so you. Okay. So select C email and R return date from customer C, enter join rental R. Okay. On customer ID equals what from the rental table?
I don't remember.
Well, I mean, it's the same column that's over there. So
Yeah,
it'd be so R dot customer ID, right?
yeah.
Where date R equals that, that's fine. Order by 3 and 4. So let's look at the answer back over here. And we want it ordered by,
Oh, that's my,
it looks like we want it by date first. Nope, we don't have a date first. We want it by name first and then date. I think, let's see. Let's see if name then date does right. So we're gonna do by email and then by return date. So we'll try that first. Okay. And that's what it is. It's the order by.
and it came up.
Yeah.
Must-
So you just want to make sure it's ordered by that first and then by return date. So basically that says that it's going to do all the G's and the dates. So here's Herman, there's only H, but here's 2J, here's 3 J's. So Jeanette, Jeffrey, and Joyce. And then that's 619 and 23, 618, 616. And then down here, the M's were back to 618. Because these got separated separate, these got ordered, these got sorted separately because anything with the last name J is gonna be sorted by return date separately than everything else.
Okay.
If we went the other way, if we just did by return date or email, it would sort this first and then the J's would be all backwards. Make sense?
Yes, I put something completely different.
For the order by?
Yeah, I put, I think I put R dot customer ID, and then I put descending. I don't know why.
Oh. Well,
Yeah.
you do bring a good point. The column does not have to be in the select clause to sort by. I can sort by anything. I mean to order by, so I can order by inventory ID if I wanted to. And it will run. It'll give a
Yeah.
weird sorting of it, but it'll run.
Okay.
Okay. So the point being, you can put anything in order by, it doesn't have to be anywhere in here. It can be some brand new column you just decide to write order by, and it'll still work.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So those are the 4 questions. It's pretty cut and dry. The exercises are not very difficult this week. So the this thing here once again. I want to talk about. Oh, that was it right there. This assignment here, the reverse engineering website. Again, it's due this week. It's the last time I'll talk about it, but please, those of you here, those who are watching at home, catching up with everything, reverse engineering a website is going to a website that has a database behind it and giving me your best guess on how that database on the back end works. This is done in a video presentation where I see your face while you do it. This is because we don't want to use Proctorio for our exams. If we do this, no Proctorio for exams. If we don't do this, Proctorio for exams. I think this is a good ask. Are you laughing about the Proctorio thing, Michael? Because I would if I were you. Yeah, Proctorio sucks.
I took one, it was horrible.
It's horrible. It is the worst thing ever. It's almost like most smart virus softwares will see it as ransomware. And it is not a mistake. So please, let me see 2 minutes of your face so you never have to do Proctorio in this class.
Okay, we'll do.
Okay, excellent. All right. So again, one last thing, and then I'll open it up. Any questions on anything so far? Everyone doing okay? All right. The last thing we're going to talk about real quickly tonight is the final project. So again, I will talk about this every week, and each week will be more and more. The final project is in lieu of the final exam. You can do one or the other. You can't do both. You can do one or the other. The final exam is 100 questions, give or take. It is open book. It is take it twice, and the best grade counts. That is the final exam. The final project is a design project that you can do to challenge yourself. You create you create a database diagram, and you show me up to 10 tables and how they work together on a concept that you come up with yourself. I've had all sorts of people come with concepts. Last year, I had someone who wrote an application for a dog database, a doggy daycare center. I've had numerous people do different collecting apps. I had one guy do an app, the database for an app that would tell Uber drivers where like bathrooms were, rest stops were, snacks were, things like that. So you're going to create the backend database. You're going to create the data that populates those databases. You're going to write me test cases based on what you'd use the application for. For example, if you were doing a doggy daycare application, like the student did last semester, you'd write a query as, show me everyone who has not put their dog in doggy daycare in the last 6 months so I can send them a coupon. Show me what breed of dog is what I normally have. What is the most popular breed of dog that gets boarded here? Show me the average age of the dogs that get boarded here. Show me, you know, how many chinchillas have I taken care of, or whatever you want to do. But that's what it is. You want to do a logical question from your database that a customer would ask or an employee would ask to help them do their job or use the application. And then you will give me a mock-up of a front end. It could be in Visio, it could be crayon on paper, it could be cutouts. I don't care. I just need to see what you think the front end would look like and how it would attach to the back end. And then I need a short video presentation or a PowerPoint presentation explaining it all to me. This takes, honestly, if you do it right, about 8 weeks to do at a casual pace for a student who's carrying a full to ridiculously heavy load of college courses. But this is the design element of this class. If you want to learn how to design databases, this is what you do. Okay. It is not that difficult. It does, as you progress, it gets easier and easier. It might seem like extremely overwhelming right now, but you don't know how to write queries yet. But as you go on, you figure it out, it becomes easier and easier. If you choose to do the final project on week 3, or if you choose to do it now, every week you'll notice you have a paper you have to write. That paper has a prompt like, this week you learned how to do select queries. Please explain why select queries are valuable. If you do the final project, your paper, your weekly paper becomes more or less a journal entry to me to tell me how you're doing on your project, what you've done this week, what you're trying to do, any stumbling blocks that you come into, anything you've decided. Start showing me like vague mock-ups of your ERD, start showing me some of your queries. That's what that paper becomes about. You can absolutely start doing the project and halfway through decide you want to do the final exam instead. That's fine. You can, I had one student last semester decide on week 11 they want to do the project. And between week 11 and week 12, he did the project. He had a lot of free time. So it worked for him. So it's all about what you guys want to do. If you're going to do it, I would definitely make the decision to do it by next week, week 3, because it does take a bit of time to get everything done. But it's a fun adventure. Okay, that pretty much covers everything I wanted to talk about tonight. Thank you for your patience. And does anyone have any closing comments, questions, any thoughts, any rough ideas on a project you might want to do to throw out right now? If not, we can call it a night and you guys can. Who here is okay? We know Morgan's 5 hours behind me. So Morgan, it's only 5 o'clock by you, right?
Yeah, it's actually 4 o'clock.
4 are you 6 hours?
Yeah, I'm 6 hours from Eastern time right now.
Not only you in Hawaii, you're in Hawaii on prime beach time talking about a class, man. You are very impressive. All
After
right.
watching your video last week, it's totally worth it.
Oh, I appreciate that. All right. Does have any questions about the final project, about this week's exercise, about select queries in general? All right.
I have a question about the meeting time.
The what?
The meeting time.
The meeting time? Yeah.
Yeah, is it going to be the same?
Yes. It'd be 9:30. I've done it as late as I can because I'm on East Coast time. So this is 9:30 to 10:30 my time.
That
how's
is
it work?
that's 1:30 a.m. for me.
Oh no, where are you?
Ghana, West Africa.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah, this is where it's going to be. If you ever want to, so what I do for people in like weird time zones or like way off, because it's like, oh, you're tomorrow already.
Yeah,
So you're okay.
I'm in Thursday.
Oh, you're on Thursday. Well, I'm glad the world doesn't end today because it's already tomorrow by you. If you ever need me for something, just shoot me an email and we'll set a time for a one-on-one.
Okay.
Because I don't want you staying up to 1 o'clock in the morning. And you know, I mean, nowadays, it's when I was a kid, staying up to 1 o'clock in the morning was boring because TV turned off at 11 o'clock and there's nothing to do but read. Who reads, right? Now with the internet, you can be on TikTok until 4 o'clock in the morning and forget what happened, you know? So, but yeah, if this is a difficult time for this, the time it has to be for me. If this is a difficult time for you to make, let me know and I'll make special time to meet with you one-on-one. But that's also why I record these. So they'll be there. Also, if you can't make the meeting, and I'll put this in the announcement, if you post questions on my announcement saying that the meeting is Wednesday, I'll check that and I'll answer the questions during the video. So, okay. So, yeah, yeah, this is, so you're, yeah, I can't, I have to do it like 11 o'clock in the morning to make it reasonable for you. And it's really, really cool having a worldwide class, but it's very, very difficult to find a good time to do everything for everybody. So, okay. So yeah, so there you go, Michael. That's if you need one-on-one time, just let me know, or just post questions and we'll answer them in the videos. Okay. Anyone else? Any other questions? Nicholas, you doing good?
Kind of.
Okay, kind of.
Yeah, it's 4 in the morning here.
Oh, where are you?
Well, right now I'm in Russia, but I will be moved to Montenegro next week.
Oh, okay. Wow. That's well, okay. I'm glad you moved to Russia. It's a resident of Montenegro. It's a little safer there. Okay. Same thing with Michael. If you need one-on-one stuff, let me know. We'll set times that are more reasonable to you because 4 o'clock in the morning, dude. I got one dude in Hawaii. I got like, all sorts of weird times and makes me feel bad being in Florida, you know? So, anything I do to help you? Yeah.
I'm okay because this is not my first class, which I had to stay so early in the morning.
Oh gosh. Yeah. Okay. Is that where you live in Russia or?
Well, I'm currently living in St. Petersburg, but as I said, I will be relocated due to my work.
In Montenegro?
Yeah.
Okay. My dad was from Serbia.
Oh yeah, it's the close country. They had like a common board.
Yeah. If you're ever in Serbia and see a little town called Zagrova, that's where my dad's from. Like 22 people live there. So that's where he's from.
I bet I have to get a visa run then.
Well, don't go look on my account. But one day I'm going to go there and visit the little town that he grew up. Well, he was from. Anyway, okay. So my Russian friend, my Ghana friend, my Hawaiian friend. You know, you're going to go, you know, to the beach and surf. Everyone else, you guys go to bed. Michael, Nicholas, you go to sleep. Okay, the rest of us are going to go do our stuff. Okay, you guys take care. I'll talk to you next week.
So, thank you.
Thank you.